The Lebanese Forces is a Lebanese Christian-based political party and former militia during the Lebanese Civil War. It currently holds 15 of the 64 Christian seats in Lebanon's parliament and is therefore the second largest Christian party in parliament. The organization was created in 1976 by Pierre and Bachir Gemayel, Camille Chamoun, and other party leaders during the Lebanese Civil War. It was initially an umbrella organization coordinating all the right-wing party militias of the Lebanese Front and served as the main resistance force of the front. The Qatar Regulatory Forces provided the largest share of fighters, and the Qatar Party had the largest share on the council. Despite its original creation from party militias, the Lebanese Forces accepted new recruits without any specific party allegiance. During the Civil War, the Lebanese Forces fought different opponents at different times. The Palestinian Liberation Organization, the Lebanese National Movement, the Lebanese National Resistance Front, the Syrian Army, the Druze-dominated Progressive Socialist Party in the Chouf, and the Lebanese army loyal to General Michel Aoun. After the assassination of its leader, Bachir Gemayel, in 1982, political friction within the Lebanese front resulted in growing distance between the Qatar militants and the rest of the Lebanese forces. In the end, the Lebanese forces and Qatar became two separate forces within the Lebanese front. A few uprisings led to Lebanese Forces Commander-in-Chief Samir Geagea taking over and dissolving the Lebanese Front in the late 1980s. After the civil war ended, Geagea created the Lebanese Forces Party. In 1994, while Lebanon was under Syrian occupation, the party was banned, Geagea imprisoned and the activities of its militants repressed by the Lebanese services in Lebanon. The Lebanese forces returned as a political force after the Cedar Revolution in early 2005, which resulted in a withdrawal of Syrian troops from Lebanon. Soon after, Geagea was subsequently released from prison and continues to lead the party today. The Lebanese Front was informally organized in January 1976 under the leadership of Bashir's father, Pierre Gemayel and Camille Chamoun. It began as a simple coordination or joint command between the predominantly Christian Qatar Party Qatar Regulatory Forces parties and their respective military wings. The main reason behind the formation of the Lebanese Front was to strengthen the Christian side against the challenge presented by the Lebanese National Movement, an umbrella alliance of leftist parties, militias allied with the Palestine Liberation Organization, and rejectionist Front Palestinian guerrilla factions. Christian East Beirut was ringed by heavily fortified Palestinian camps from which kidnappings and sniping against Lebanese civilians became a daily routine. Christian East Beirut became besieged by the PLO camps, with severe shortages of food and fuel. This unbearable situation was remedied by the Qatar Regulatory Forces and their allied Christian militias as they besieged the Palestinian camps embedded in Christian East Beirut one at a time and brought them down. The first was on the 18th of January 1976 when the heavily fortified Quarantina camp, located near the strategic Beirut harbor, was invaded. About 1,000 PLO fighters and civilians were killed. The Palestinian PLO and al-Sika forces retaliated by attacking the isolated defenseless Christian town of Damar about 20 miles south of Beirut on the coast. During the Damar massacre, in which an estimated 150 to 500 Christian civilians were killed and 5,000 were sent fleeing north by boat, since all roads were blocked off, the Maronites retaliated with the invasion of the largest and strongest Palestinian refugee camp, Tel al-Zatar, that same year. Bachir, with his KRF militia units, also fought against the PLO and LNM militias at the Battle of the Hotels in central Beirut. The most important battle won by the Phalange for the control of the hotel district was the fighting over the possession of the Holiday Inn, due to its important strategic location. Before that battle, the Holiday Inn had been occupied by the PLO. The Lebanese forces were soon after established with an agreement that the direct military commander would be a Qatar member and the vice commander an ARA member. Bachir led his troops in the infamous 100 Days War in Lebanon in 1978. in which the Lebanese forces successfully resisted the Syrian shelling and attacking of eastern Beirut for about 3 months before an Arab-brokered agreement forced the Syrians to end the siege. Syrians took high buildings such as Burj Rizq and Burj al-Mir using snipers and heavy weapons against civilians. The soldiers stayed for 90 days. Another major clash took place near the Sodako area in Atrafaya, where the Lebanese forces fought ferociously and led the Syrian army out of the Rizq building. At this time, Israel was the primary backer.